Hey guys, this is Cliff with Disrupt Tech. I'm out here in Las Vegas, Nevada at the Disrupt Gaming House. And today we're going to be going over the parts and pieces that we at Disrupt have chosen to outfit our guys with for the US division of the North American League for Rainbow Six. So we're going to get into every part that we chose, why we chose them, and we'll put a link of the prices and descriptions of the parts below. So hope you enjoy. So the first part we're going to go over, and always the first critical part of a PC that I'm choosing along with the CPU, is the motherboard. We went with the Gigabyte Aorus X570 Elite. This is a ATX motherboard. One of the things we were looking at when choosing our parts were affordability, but also performance at the same time. And so when we are identifying the motherboard, like I said, one of the first things we do is look at the processor. We had landed on the 3600 from AMD, so we wanted to make sure we had a motherboard that was capable of overclocking and handling overclocking. I've used Gigabyte's parts in the past, motherboards, they've all been good. We decided to go with the X570 chipset. We know it's a newer chipset. We wanted a little bit more future proofing for us. We could have probably gone with the X470 and gotten in positive performance. We just wanted to make sure we had the latest and greatest chipset that was out for the AMD processors. A couple cool parts about this motherboard, as I said, it's great for overclocking. You've got the heatsink fan over here. It's got 2 PCI slots along with 2 M.2 slots, 4 DIMM slots, and then a couple of other things around here with some lighting and then enlarged heat sinks as well on this side of the board that give it some increased cooling. So a lot of cool features of this board that probably we can't, I don't know all the features of this board, quite frankly, but we knew it was a good board. It had pretty solid reviews, and it was a pretty solid price point. I think we got it at around $200 a board. So with the ability to overclock the AMD processors out of the box without having to worry about heating or cooling issues, we decided to go with this Gigabyte motherboard and give it a shot. The next thing we went with, so as I said, whenever you're choosing a motherboard and a processor or a CPU, you got to make sure you've got the right pairing. We decided to go with the Ryzen 5 3600. As I said, one of the things, we were building 6 PCs for our guys. We needed to make sure we were running Rainbow Six Siege at a very high FPS. And so we wanted to make sure we had a processor that was capable of doing that, but also within the right price point. The AMD Ryzen 5 3600, we were able to overclock this right out of the box. It's got a core clock of 3.2 gigahertz. I believe it can go all the way up to 4.2 safely. It comes with a heatsink and the Wraith cooling fan, which is here. Which, as I understand it, you can overclock with this fan right out of the box. I'll get into a little bit about our CPU cooling in a little bit, but it's one of the benefits of the 3600. You can get it, you've got the heatsink and fan, and you can overclock it right out of the gate. Another reason we went with AMD over Intel is, as a content creation team, a lot of the things we do require streaming, and a lot of video editing and such, and multitasking. So historically, as I've understood it, AMD's processors tend to perform a little bit better when you're doing more multitasking. So this will allow our streamers and our guys playing the game to stream their games while they're playing them, as well as record if they need to, but also maintaining high FPS for the competitive integrity of the players. So it was really important for us to be able to get something that allowed us to do more multitasking because it's such a focus of our company. For the price, we'll link the price below. I think this processor is around $200, but we'll link all the prices below so you've got more up to date. But for the processors, we went with the Ryzen 5 3600. Next, we were kind enough to be sent by our partners several things, one of which was this 16 gigabytes of 3000 megahertz RAM. It's 2 sticks of 8 gigabytes each. It's tough RAM from Thermaltake. I've used Thermaltake RAM in the past. It's been a while, so I was excited to give it a go for our guys and see how the performance ended up. This is RGB compatible lighting, so you can use it with the RGB Fusion 2.0 software, which I didn't quite talk about enough with the Gigabyte motherboard, but the Gigabyte motherboard does come with software that allows you to control the lighting of all your components should they be compatible with it. So the tough RAM is compatible with the lighting, so of course we always want good performance, but we like good aesthetics as well. And so, yeah. I'm not going to take this out of the box, but for hard drives, we went with the Samsung 860 EVO. Not a lot to say here. These hard drives, I've used these Samsung EVO hard drives for these SSDs for quite a while in multiple builds. They're always got great speeds, good reliability. Not a lot to say here, just a solid product. So, highly recommend those hard drives if you're looking for something. We did choose 500 gigabytes for ours. No particular reason, it was a pricing thing for us. And so we wanted to make sure we had good speeds and good performance at a good price point. The next part we were evaluating was the video card. So of course, along with the motherboard, processor, one of the other major components we had to consider was of course the video card. For these builds, we went with the GeForce RTX 2070 Supers. These are the NVIDIA cards. We went with the Supers. We're looking for a solid price point with solid performance. This, I believe, will run you somewhere between $450 and $550. I'm not exactly certain what it's at today. Again, link to the prices below. But this card is supposed to be somewhere between a 1080 and a 1080 Ti. So it's supposed to be a 2070 on steroids. So it's not going to be as good as your 1080 Ti, but it's at a much better price point. So it's closer to around $500 than the 700 something a 1080 Ti will run you. Apparently there's supposed to be a 2080 Super coming out soon that'll basically be a 2080 on steroids as well. So we'll see how these cards perform, but we're excited to get these in the systems and see how they work. Again, our partners Thermaltake, they hooked us up with some pretty sweet stuff. This was one of the things they hooked us up with that I alluded to earlier. This is the Thermaltake FlowRing 360 Premium Edition CPU cooler. So it's a closed loop water cooling system. It's got a 360 millimeter radiator with 3 RGB fans on it, along with a fan controller. I'm not sure if this is compatible with RGB Fusion, but Thermaltake does have their own RGB software that allows you to configure and control not only the speeds of the fans and the speed of the pump, but also the lighting on the cooler as well as the fans. So a lot of customization with the lighting in this system, but big shout out again to our guys at Thermaltake. We know that we were able to overclock with the Wraith out of the box, but with these we'll really be able to push those processors to the max overclock, again, to get the best performance for our players. So big shout out to Thermaltake for these. So for the cases, Thermaltake was kind enough to send us their V71TG RGB case. So it's a full tower case. It's got a tempered glass door, which is actually really nice. When you're working on the PC, you literally only have to undo 2 screws and open the door, and you've got access to your whole PC. It's got plenty of room for cooling, cord management, case management, allows for all kinds of radiators, obviously fits the 360 millimeter CPU cooler and closed loop fan system. So ton of room for customization in there, awesome aesthetics as you can see here, and really just a kick-ass case that we're excited to build these PCs in. So once again, big shout out to Thermaltake for all the stuff that they sent us to help our guys and our team, and see what else. That's just about it. Yeah. Hey, what's up, YouTube? It's Cliff. I can't ever not do that every time there's an entry. But video will be going over all the parts and pieces and where you can find the parts and pieces from the PCs that we have. I'm just going to warn you, this is going to take like probably 5 to 10 times for me to get this right. And wow. Hey guys, this is Cliff with Disrupt Tech. I'm out here in Las Vegas, Nevada at the Disrupt Gaming House,